Thank you very much, Sjokz, Kobe, and Ender. I am so excited to be here with Foxy, and we're going to be going through our first two games of the day. And Foxy, I want to bring up something from that interview very quickly. They talked about the progressive improvement of Rogue as a roster. In spring 2019, they went 2-16. They are 12-3 now in spring 2021.
That is some insane improvement right there from Rogue. And to be honest, what impresses me the most is the amount of homegrown talent that they have on their squad as well, right? So this is a team that really they stick their players in academy, they work through academy, they come up, and then suddenly they're these LEC superstars. You know, Larssen's the obvious example, Trymbi being that rookie this season as well. It's just so impressive how they managed to do that, honestly. And for me, that's always something you got to keep your eyes on. Were they a rogue player? Yes. All right. And they're going to be a superstar in the LEC.
Well, let's see how it goes down in this Champions Select. We'll see you in a moment. All right, we are into Champion Select. SK versus Rogue. Foxdrop already seeing the Caitlyn ban here, but what are we expecting? Do you think there are going to be any big picks that you think will be influential for both SK or Rogue?
When I'm looking at these two teams, how they match up stylistically, I've got my eyes at the bot lane. You know, Treatz and Trymbi specifically, I think have very similar champion pools. You know, I think they're both very good on these like roaming style champions, kind of like the tanky initiators, like the Rell, the Leona, like the Alistar as well, these kind of things. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some priority put on those picks. As right now we've seen 3 AD carry bans right here. Hansar and Jezu getting a lot of respect at the beginning of this draft.
Well, actually, something that I did want to bring up is I really feel like this bot lane will be pivotal for SK and Rogue, especially for SK, where I think a lot of the strength comes from Jezu and Treatz. And I think for Rogue, they've got the strength of 2 incredible solo laners, and I think that they are clearly just trying to contain that SK bot lane. Treatz has been an absolute beast in this support role, and I think for SK, that bot lane matchup is going to be paramount.
Absolutely, I agree with you there. And something as well that's really important whenever you want to have a successful team in League of Legends is you can't just rely on one lane. And for SK and for Rogue, both their top laners have Aatrox as one of their best champions, I would say. So I think, you know, Jenax, we all know that Aatrox is like a really, really strong Jenax champion. Last time these two teams met, though, it was Odoamne that picked up Aatrox, and he absolutely bodied SK with that pick. Now, I think that's something which might have like a slightly higher priority, potentially, in this draft with these two players, because it's a good pick for your own players and also a good takeaway from the other.
We have a Gangplank ban here as the final ban on blue side. On red side. We'll see what SK Gaming choose to prioritize. It is going to be the Lillia for TynX, and obviously TynX coming out of the European Masters as kind of like a superstar jungler. Hasn't quite had the same impact that Xayah has, but it is still a strong jungler in his own right. Definitely someone to be respected.
Hey, that's not even much of an insult, man. Xayah has been an absolute beast. He's been great.
I didn't mean it as an insult. No, I'm sorry. No. I'm sorry, TynX. You're a beast.
No, TynX has been good, you know, and I think as well, like, this Lillia first pick shows that SK have some confidence in TynX. I also think, you know, like, it's a good takeaway from Inspired. It's by far Inspired's most played champion. Moving on to what Rogue have answered with, though, did mention, you know, the Rell might have some high priority here, so I wouldn't be surprised to see SK go for that Alistar, Rell Alistar matchup down bot side. No crazy surprises there, and it makes a lot of sense just like on paper, but also for what these two players like to pick. As bot lane matchups are going to be Xayah Alistar versus Kai'Sa and Rell.
And Larssen has kind of pick of the litter here. If he locks in his ear, I would not be surprised. I'm having flashbacks to that Vedius cold open segment where we had, like, is it Mysterious? And it was just Larssen looking in the mirror with the Azir. But okay, it is the Syndra, and he does lock that in. So a strong blind pick in the mid lane here for Larssen. And I think, you know, I'm not entirely surprised, you know, give him something that gives him a lot of priority in mid. He has been an absolute beast in the mid lane for a Rogue over the course of the split.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised that he's opted for the Syndra over the Azir. I do think Azir is a little bit stronger than Syndra, and also, you know, Larssen loves playing that champion. Oh, and you're also banning Orianna. Considering Syndra is considered like a counter into the Orianna, I find that quite interesting. But to be honest, what I see when I look at these comps so far, especially from Rogue, is like a pick like Syndra you can do a lot more within the mid game. And when we look at these two teams stylistically, Rogue are a very good early and mid game team. SK on the other hand, not so much. So if you do want to pick something that can punish them early on, then I do think, you know, Syndra is a good avenue to go down.
Going to see some more junglers targeted out against Inspired here with the Graves ban. As you said, the Orianna ban coming in. And a little interesting...
Udyr is still up, by the way. Is it?
Udyr is still up.
Oh, it's 11-5. Yeah. Did he get
it's 11-5.
I'm actually not 100% sure on that. So he's one of those champions you expect to always be taken away. Then when he's not, you're like, what's going on here? Is this a bug?
Well, the Victor does get taken away, so they are trying to target Blue a little bit in the mid lane for SK Gaming, and try and maybe take away some safety from him. Maybe allow Larssen to flex his muscles on that pick. The Gnar has gone. That's a relatively solid blind pick in the top lane for Odoamne, so we will not see that happen here. Although they are R5, so I would expect to see a jungler locked in for Rogue, and then they do get that that sort of last pick, counter pick in the top lane.
Yeah, so I just took a cheeky look here. Udyr did get a little nerf on 11-5 to his Phoenix stance, but I still think it's fairly strong. But yeah, as you're saying, rounding out these picks here, really pinched mid lane pool here for Blue. But I would be surprised if he doesn't just lock in the Azir. Like, Azir's still open. I think, you know, Rogue can be very happy with that matchup. But it's still, you know, Blue's very comfortable in that champion as well. It fits their team comp pretty nicely too. As Odoamne not going to be playing the more aggressive style bruiser top lane in this game. It's going to go to that Sion. And there it is. All right, it is going to be Aatrox into Sion. Jenax getting his signature champion. This is quite interesting though, because I think this does put a bit of pressure on the top side here for SK. Maybe that's the lane that they can decide to play around with TynX on this Lillia.
We'll see the final pick coming through will be the mid lane. As you said, Azir is open. A couple of other picks that he could gravitate towards as well. I think Azir would work relatively well though. Zoe could also be the lock-in, and it is. Blue will take Zoe into that mid lane matchup, and that is the SK comp rounded out. We're now going to see the jungler, which was left right until the end, and maybe, just maybe, we see something interesting come out for Rogue, because they have left this to the kind of like a last pick, counter pick scenario. Let's see what they try to go for.
I mean, I'm going to be... They say don't talk about hovers, but Trinity jungle, that makes so much sense. How can we not talk about that one? Inspired. Well, it looks like he's not going to go... he's going to go a different direction instead, much to my dismay and shock. Obviously, it's not going to be Trin jungle. It is going to be Nidalee instead. Pretty high skill champion in that jungle, and to be honest, Inspired, very high skill jungler. So I think already from the bat right here, you've got much more early game focus on the side of Rogue. You know, you're going to be able to get that mid pro, you're going to be able to invade a little bit more with that Nidalee. You know, you've got some good setup in the bot side as well, and having Odoamne, the weak side king on that Sion, just ignore him. Don't worry about him at all. You know, just try and attack SK through the mid and through the bot.
And that's what you said was be important. But of course, SK, quick thoughts on their draft. What are we expecting from them this game?
Well, I think you just got to deal with what Rogue throws at you for starters, right? But they have some pretty good pick potential as well, and I think honestly Jenax on the Aatrox is always something to keep your eyes on. He's so good on that champion, and against Sion, like, you know, there's some wiggle room there for you to try and play around.
Well, we are about to jump onto the Rift, an important game for both of these in terms of locking positions in those LEC standings. We'll see what happens on the Rift. We are on to the Rift, and this is a relatively important game for both teams. I did mention it just before, but if SK win here, they are guaranteed locked playoffs. As Medic said in his playoffs checkup, they are guaranteed locked playoffs. And if Rogue win, they are guaranteed top 2 in the LEC. So these, you know, there are some things that can happen as a result of a win here for both of these teams, Foxy.
Yeah, absolutely. This is definitely a game that you know, if, from Rogue's perspective, like you can't really afford to drop. I would say you can't drop games to people below you in the standings, but they're so good, everyone's below them in the standings, apart from G2, to be fair. But still, you know, you definitely don't want to lose to SK. And for SK, they had a really rough week 7. And going up against one of the better teams we have here in the LEC, I think it's really quite important actually for you to be able to kind of prove to yourself and prove to everyone else, of course, that you know, you're still a decent team. You're still a team that's gonna do some damage, not only make playoffs, but do some damage when you get there as well.
Yeah, you can see as we are now into the bot lane, the engage comes through straight up from Trymbi. He dives in, but Treatz will just headbutt away. Essentially a tit for tat at the end. And what I would say is I think this bot lane will be the focus, like especially for SK. You have such a strong bot lane in the form of Jezu and Treatz. They have been pretty instrumental, especially Treatz, in some of SK's wins. Last week wasn't fantastic for this bot lane. They didn't have the best early game in the world. But if they can shape up, I think they could be a relative key to success, especially against Rogue, who have the strength in the solo lane advantage.
I agree with you as well. Like I think for Rogue, like, they're just such a well-rounded team. One of the things that's just so impressive for me is like in every single lane, they're all so talented, and they find success everywhere. Like it's really quite hard to attack Rogue, especially considering how clean they are as a team as well. They don't make too many mistakes, and when you have good players across the entirety of your roster, then I really just think, you know, like what is the weakness? Where do you attack? You know, and that bot lane is definitely something to keep your eyes on, because not only can you play through your bot, but you can also shut SK's bot down, which I do think is their stronger lane. Blue here though, he's out of position, he's in trouble.
Oh, Blue, I think he might be dead, mate. Oh, it's first blood. Inspired picks up, and it's just too easy. It was just too easy for Rogue there. That's a free kill. That's a free kill.
That is, yeah. What was that about? Like you should have information that Inspired started topside. Like, you know, he's not gotten a leash on the bot side. Nidalee as a champion as well. If like, yeah, you just. That was nothing special. There was absolutely nothing special about that gang, and Blue just disrespecting Inspired there. And here comes Trymbi. Oh my goodness. Blue does have his flash still. He should be able to walk away from this one.
Just get knocked up. The stun is there. They will combo it together. They scatter the weak line. Oh no. My God, Blue, please. Please, Blue. It's a disaster. It's a bloody disaster.
He's only gone and Blue's Abba died. It's happened. He's down. 2 deaths in 3 minutes. Like, oh my sweet Lord. It's just, I mean, okay, so this is what we talked about in the draft, right? They didn't pick Xayah. Neither team picked Xayah here, and we were thinking, Xayah's pretty high on the priority list right here of champions that you'd want to pick just because they're very strong in the meta right now. But neither of them opted towards it, and instead Larssen blind picked this Syndra. And it does have more playmaking than Xayah, for sure. And would any of these ganks happen if Larssen was playing Xayah? I don't really think so. You know, having that scatter of the week to either set up or follow up a play, as we saw in both the First Blood and Trymbi's roam right here, really does just add on to your early game threat. And SK, you know, they're in a bit of a hole right now already. 1k gold down 4 minutes into the game. Youch.
And honestly, whilst I obviously can say Blue maybe didn't play that the best way, I've got to give credit to Rogue. They've put a lot of pressure on that mid lane. They're playing around the early Syndra strength in lane. Looks like SK want to find something back though. Unfortunately, Larssen a little bit more on the beat in terms of that roaming. He will not get caught. But let's credit Rogue, as well as, you know, obviously Blue didn't play it the best. But let's credit Rogue, because they are playing around that Syndra, and that's worked.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, they're just doing everything right. Like, they're really smart with how they use their movements on the map and like their tempo as well. Like, a big reason as to why Trymbi was unlocked from bot lane is because they have control in bot lane. If you have control in bot, then you can leave it. You can move around the map and you can go do whatever you want to do. And it's interesting as well, because both of these bot laners are very similar in playstyle. They both like to move around the map. They both like to make things happen. And they really are catalysts for their teams. And I think for Rogue, Trymbi isn't like the primary catalyst because he doesn't have to be. But for SK, Treatz definitely is. So you should be able to see this guy moving around the map, making these plays happen. And really, I'm expecting that to be the difference this game. Like, how much can Treatz look to influence in the lane phase? SK definitely need him to be able to do that.
And actually, just to build on your Treatz point, he is the first in terms of supports for kill participation at 15. So, like, he has that much influence in the early game in that he's got a 90.5 kill participation percentage for SK Gaming in the early game. which is huge. Like that the support having that much influence is like a second jungler, and that's a really big deal. I think Blue may be caught out here. Another scatter of the week comes through the, oh my word, the spear lands. And actually, we haven't engaged in the bot lane. Gonna force the flash out from Hans Sama. Treatz getting taken very low. Trymbi will pick up the kill for his second of the game. And Jezu trying to trade back here. He will not have the legs to go much further. Right now, it is a brawl across the map that Rogue are coming out on top of.
SK are not happy right here. Holy moly, 6 minutes into the game. 2k gold down. I know Rogue is good, but SK, what's going on here? They're losing their marbles everywhere. It's really, really tough for them right now in this game. Like last week, they did not have a strong early game in the slightest. They spent like 60% of their time playing League of Legends in week 7 with a major deficit, which is not good, by the way. That's a very negative stat right there. And the fact that they are in their first game back in week 8, in the super week, you know, when they're trying to lock in their playoff spot, at this point in the game, they still have the same problems here. And SK is just, I mean, it's really, really not looking good for them in this one so far.
I mean, I know it's Rogue, right? Rogue clearly, as Sjokz said on the desk, they're a very solid top 2 team. They deserve their place at the top of the table. So I know it's Rogue. I know Rogue are good, but SK need to fix these early game problems, because if they don't, like, we could be in a situation where they don't even make playoffs, and it's very unlikely, clearly, as Jenax now going to be forced to use the ultimate to bounce away. Odoamne won't be able to catch him. But I mean, SK, they need to fix this. They've got 3 games to guarantee themselves playoffs, and it's already relatively likely they make it, Foxdrop, but you know, they want to be sure about it. And I really do think that SK need to just have a look at their early game and say, what's going wrong here? How do we make this better?
Yeah, right now, you don't have any room for those kind of thoughts. You just think, okay, how do we salvage this game? Jenax is going to go pretty aggro in the top sides here, as Aatrox tends to do. Something as well about that top lane play that was a little bit sad for SK is Jenax walked away from that pretty scot-free, which is great. As I hold this thought here, because SK are looking for it, not going to hit the swirl seed, so no lullaby, no follow-up from Treatz there. But as I was saying, that top side, Jenax just walked away. That's great, right? So you've drawn the enemy jungler top side. You didn't have to expend anything. You've absorbed the pressure. Beautiful. You're very happy about that. But SK couldn't do anything with it. You know, I was looking at the minimap at the time, and they, you know, Jezu and Treatz had already pushed out bot. TynX was like sort of in the area. He just took his red buff, but they weren't able to like really do anything about the dragon either. And to be honest, a lot of that's just because of the mid diff here as well. Like, it's level 8 to level 6. Like, you can't start that dragon up against a level 8 Syndra. I mean, you could, but I'm going to go ahead and say that's probably not a good idea, and will probably end in a lot of heartbreak for SK.
And as you said, that Rogue have got complete control of the bot side of the map. They've got, you know, the bot pressure. They have that mid lane pressure that's just being facilitated by Larssen solo, and Inspired will pick up that first dragon of the game at 9 minutes. And it will be an easy one for Rogue to take. Now, you mentioned, actually, and I'd love to expand a little bit, SK, how do you salvage a situation like this? Because I think a lot of teams find themselves in the early game where you're in a similar situation. How do you actually salvage this?
I think, honestly, patience to start with, because you just got to slow the bleed, like stem the bleeding. It's just, it's a lot right now, you know. So this is the thing, it is, at this point in the game, you're really just looking to kind of just chill out and try and get back into the game. But the thing is as well, when you look at the, especially like Syndra as a champion, tends to be relatively easy to catch out. Like, what you've got to do, I think, honestly, is you've got to like dedicate more than just TynX to this mid lane. So if Jezu and Treatz can maybe get a push down bot side like they've done here, so they pushed out, they're going to recall, they're going to reset. Maybe you can swing by mid or swing by something to try and make a play. I know that the Syndra has Merc Treads, it will make it extremely hard for her to get quite out of position. But, you know, if you've got like the Alistar there, it doesn't really matter about Mercs. You'll still be able to catch her, right? So I think that's probably like their best shot here. Is it looks like they are going to be moving towards this Herald, looking for this play. And they're going to have the step, because Hans Summer is still going to be in bot lane pushing this wave out. We'll see if SK can do something.
Jenax is still relatively strong right now. Like, he is actually bopping Odoamne in some of those trades, as you kind of would expect. Aatrox is a pretty solid duelist, Sion less so. So maybe there is a chance, you know, with Treatz here at this Rift Herald, we could potentially see Jenax take over a smaller skirmish away from the bot lane. We have had a full rotate of the SK bot lane up towards this Herald as well, by the way. So they really want to secure this. I assume to just shovel some gold into someone through some plates, because that might be a way, you know, just by getting some solid plate advantages somewhere, that you could at least contend when it comes to like second or third dragon potentially.
This is like Okay, so it's good to take the Herald away, right? Especially taking it away from Rogue because they're already having such an accelerated early game. You don't want to give more to them. But man, Hans Summer just picked up a whole load of coin into his pocket. My goodness, that was like 2, maybe even 3 minion waves that Jezu missed there. He got plates as well. Hans Summer is now 2 levels up on Jezu. Tiny CS as well, like, okay. So you dedicated your team to the Herald. You got stuff at Herald, good job. But, as Trevor would say, but at what cost? A lot, apparently, in this bot side. Because, oh my goodness, they have just funneled so much gold into Hard Summer right now. They're going to have to do something very spicy with this Herald to make it worth it.
And I guess, actually, if you look at the average take of a Herald, right, the average take of a Herald is usually 3 plates. So if you just shovel 3 plates into your AD carry, you've literally just offset Herald anyway. So that's actually a relative even trade for Rogue over the board. I think SK need to like break open something big with this Herald, and that's very difficult to do, I think, in the early game. And I'm a little concerned. They are starting to lag behind in gold. We are 3,000 gold down. You know, mythics are on the way for Rogue as well. And with the next dragon spawning, the Cloud Soul, it does mean it will be an Ocean or a Mountain Soul too. And if that timer gets accelerated, then obviously we are staring down a relatively early Soul for SK to have to contend with also. And as you said, Rogue want to be active in the early game, Foxdrop. You said that they're looking to play through mid, they're looking to play through bot and be active through those early mid-game portions. And Rogue are playing their composition like a fiddle right now. Like, they are playing it perfectly.
Yep, and this is the difficulty here for SK because they got to find a way to just really stop Rogue from doing rogue things. But that's proven to be very hard for LEC teams, hence Rogue's rating right here. 12 and 3 sitting solidly at 2nd place. And you know, this is it. This is the power when you get that mid push. You're perma mid pro now because of Larssen is just like so fed. You can get some bot push as well, and when this happens, what do? Right, you push the lanes in, you move together as a team, you try and get some vision down, and you suffocate the opposing team. Now the worst thing about this, and I take big exception to this because I am a jungle player, and it's always the junglers that suffer the most here. But we are going to get a TP flank onto Jenax from Larssen.
Yeah, Jenax going in. He's going in, trying to find the kill onto Sion. Flashes away, but Jenax does get stunned up. Larssen should be able to pick up the kill. I say that.
Maybe.
Jenax is slapping. Absolutely slapping on this Aatrox. The teleport gets nothing. Jenax is big here.
And that is really huge right there for SK. That's a big blunder for Rogue because now you're going to be able to get a good value out of that Herald without Larssen being there to threaten, you know, being able to kill you, so you can't even get like the plates down. In bot side as well, TynX is now grouped up with his bot lane right as Rogue's bot lane has to go for this reset as Dragon spawns too. Now, I don't know if SK have full information right here about this reset. We'll see if they're able to do anything. They've gained a lot of tempo on the map, but that tempo is temporary. And we'll see whether or not they can do anything with it, because I think, honestly, they've lost their window here, and SK just a little bit too scared to really punish Rogue for that TP up in the top side.
Yeah, and my wonder is, like, for SK, they probably take the small wins at this point, I suppose. Like, if you went for Dragon and got punished for it, you're even further behind, and it's only 2nd Dragon in the game, right? So I guess for them, they say, well, let's take the small win, let's take the free plates, let's take the wasted teleport. But I do agree with you, like, you don't win this game by being passive, I suppose, at this point. So it is going to be difficult. And Samo going in forces the exhaust out from Jezu there. And it will be the 2nd Dragon in the game going comfortably to Inspired.
So I really want to pick up on the point you said there about, you know, just taking what you can get and not doing too much. Because I really think this is a subjective topic in League of Legends, and it really comes down to like your playstyle as a team. Because there's a very good argument for, as you say, just like, okay, we're behind here, let's not go too crazy, let's, you know, just take the little W's where we can, hopefully they'll build up into a big W, you know, and just not look a gift horse in the mouth. But at the same time, all of these opportunities where you could have done something really bite you in the bum when it comes back later in the game if you don't get those windows again, you know? So I do think that it just comes down to the playstyle of the team, and SK have not been a solid early game team so far in the LEC. It's not really their style, so I'm not surprised to see that they opted into the more passive early game approach.
But I guess I'm going to build on it further, Foxy. I'm going to add another Lego block to the table. For the SK composition specifically, if you are a risk-averse team in this situation, do you even win if you manage to stall this out? Like, is this a team comp that you think can actually win if we were to stall this out to like 35 minutes and they're still in the game? Do they win?
I think honestly, like the only player on Rogue's side that gets less useful as the game goes on is Inspired. You know, like his direct impact definitely falls down, and even so, like he'll just be like a heal bot for Hans Summer on Kai'Sa, and he'll be totally happy to do that, you know, because Kai'Sa's certainly a champion that can make things happen when you consider he's got 2 beefy front lines. He's Kai'Sa to start with, you know, and you'll have that support from Nidalee as well. I think SK really are looking for the picks more than anything else, right?
Yeah.
That I don't think they win a traditional front to back. I think maybe if you are able to get like to play off the strength of Jenax a little bit, that could also be another thing here, because you can see, like, my goodness, like so Hans Summer is actually funneled, by the way, like he's legit funneled in this game. But Jenax has done a lot, honestly, like that's pretty impressive considering his team's getting blasted across the board. I mean, he is expected to have the advantage over Sion, but I think from SK's perspective here, like if you can find a lane where you win like the 2v2, or maybe you can get a cheeky 2v3 or something like that, you know, you really have to go for it, and you really have to try and use your strength. As Jenax, though, he's going to get caught out because Nidalee's here as well.
Yeah, he's going to be forced to dive away. May have to flash over the wall. Maybe waiting for a second dash, and he will go for it. But they engage directly on to TynX. Gets caught out, and that's an easy pickup for Larssen.
That's the difficulty, though, right there. Jenax is drawing so much attention to himself, and this is good if you can do something with that attention, you know, somewhere else on the map, or you can maybe go for a 2v2. But that's just a misstep. It's just a misplay. Completely kills all the tempo you would have otherwise got from that play by Rogue, trying to catch out the Aatrox, where Jenax is just the escape artist himself in this game, just not being bothered in the slightest. That really sucks, and to be honest, I think Rogue will be able to crack open this mid-tier one.
Yeah, they have got a lot of pressure. It looks like Treatz is attempting to stop it, but he will not be able to. Rogue get 2 tier 1s in mid and top in short succession, and they accelerate their gold lead to around 4,500. So they are starting to build up a major lead right now over SK in this game. And as you said, like, it's not exactly like Rogue get outscaled in this situation. They still have a strong front to back. They still have that beefy boy on the front line in the form of the Sion. And SK don't exactly auto-win just by letting this go. So at some point, SK have to find a way to activate their win condition, like which as you said, it might just be through picks through Zoe and finding those individual pickoffs, but they have to find a way to get something.
I think one of the problems... Okay, never mind. Sorry, I got a little bit hypey there. I've just been waiting for Jenax to actually have something, you know, like looking for him to bop someone, but it's okay, we're just going to trade ultis there. I think another problem for SK as well in this game, like when you fall behind, is like it's really hard to set up picks if you don't have vision control. And it's really hard to get vision control when it's hard, well, when you're this far behind for starters, but also, what do you use to face check in this situation? So you've got, if you look at champions here, you've got Treatz, and that's it. Treatz is the only champion here who'll want to face check, and even then, that's really not going to be good news for him. And then on top of that, you're looking for abilities that you can use to like face check bushes and whatnot.
Hans Summer, he's gone behind enemy lines, mate. I think it's a little bit too far as he's forced to flush away. Treatz finds the pick, and the shutdown goes over to Jezu. Hans Summer, a little bit too hypey, mate. I think he absorbed a bit of your hype.
Yeah, maybe he did. It was definitely a bit too much. You're wondering how SK get back into the game. Well, if you can punish missteps like that, absolutely that's how you do it. Especially if they come with a nice juicy shutdown. As Larssen here is also stepping pretty far forward, but I think he's going to be fine. He's got the support of his team. This is dragon spawning really soon. So both his teams are going to look to get mid control and look for the fight.
Oh, Jenax wants to flush across the wall. He goes down to Inspired, who is now on top of Treatz as well. It's a good pick off for Rogue. They initially were in a bit of a rubbish situation, and now it's Treatz dropping to Odoamne too. That should be enough pressure to secure Soul Point on the Dragon. Third Dragon of the game going away of Rogue.
Just when it looked like SK had something good going for them, Rogue take it away and just completely buttered their biscuit in that play. Not happy at all. I didn't see the setup there, I'm not gonna lie, because I really think like once you get that pick on Hans Summer, you should just group up, right? You should group up and you should try and get that mid control, and then you really should look to take this dragon away, because it is, you know, it is soul point. If you want to stall this game out, which is what SK need to do in the sense just to catch up in gold, then look at yeah, I mean, TynX and Blue are both not there. What is this? Like, I mean, just like, not pointing any fingers at this point, right? Like, it doesn't matter whose fault this is, but what is going on in these team comms when TynX is in spawn and Blue is pushing topside? Like, you've just got to pick. This is 4v5. Like, if you are going to recall, go for that reset for whatever reason, okay, but then why are you pushing up so far in the mid there? And if you do want to push up in the mid there, why are you doing it as 3 people? Like, that is very, very disjointed right there from SK, and they get heavily punished for it.
And now Rogue have got even more of a lead. They are now threatening Soul in 4.5 minutes. That Mountain Soul is on the table. I mean, Hans Sama has barely been in these fights as well. He has basically been solo laning on the side lanes, absorbing free experience and free gold pretty much throughout the game. Maybe looking to make that his win condition. They are not going to catch out, I believe, Jenax, who just went back to base. Oh, no, not Jenax, actually, sorry, Zoe. But I think right now, Rogue are in a super strong spot, and they don't really need to do anything different. Like, I guess they just look to set up around these next objectives to secure the win. But for SK, as you said, this is seemingly harder and harder for them to find their win conditions here.
All right, so here comes the problem with the face check that we were talking about before. Like, SK now have to face check around the Baron, because if they don't, they're going to lose Baron for free. But if they do, then they're playing right into Rogue, and that's obviously very dangerous when you're this far behind. So it's really just a rock and a hard place right here for SK. And look at that vision control. Yeah, observers, mate, you read my mind. Look at the vision control there for Rogue. There's just, like, SK are just so blind in that Baron area. As soon as Rogue disappear into Fog of War, like, SK just have to respect that. And this is where the game becomes really, really tough for these guys. And Rogue, yeah, they're going to start it up. All right, here we go. Baron play number 1.
And it doesn't look like SK have kind of flipped that switch in their mind, although you have seen a bit of a ward clear on that top side. Treatz now will slowly move his way through that blue side jungle as Trymbi is zoning away. Rogue, they know they're on Baron now. Treatz is going to make a Hex Slash over the wall. They will actually force them to back off as Odoamne has that front line at this point in time. We're actually going to see the Lullaby come through. This could be the engage that SK are looking for as Treatz tries to dive in. Nice zoning from Odoamne, and Treatz gets bopped off by the Unleashed Power. He'll drop at the start of the fight to Larssen, but there are some low HP bars for Rogue right now, and SK wants it. They're going in as that's the Magnet Storm straight to Jezu. The feathers are big. SK are going for it, but the double kill comes through for Larssen, and you can see Jenax is hungry for the rest of the fight, and Blue finally gets that shut down. It's been coming all game, and Blue will get the kill. SK somehow bite back a Baron.
It works for SK. It took them long enough, but they get the teamfight win, and they deny that Baron take from Rogue as well. That is exactly what they were looking for. It started off a little bit hairy, but if they want to stall this game out, these are the kind of things that work perfectly in their favor. As right here, this is where, like, I think this is not great from SK, right? Because you're a little bit disjointed again. Like, you hit a swell seed, which is great, but it's so far away that the rest of your team can't follow up. Jenax isn't even here, so it's not really that good by itself. But this is where I think Rogue just get a little bit too greedy, because there is so much poke on the side of SK from just Zoe herself, and that engage doesn't really work out there for Trymbi either. So honestly, like, massive props to SK for sorting that one out. And I think Rogue with a little bit of a misplay on the backside of that fight right there, because I think they, you know, they're in a leading position after that initial engage from SK.
I think Jezu played that so well too, like just the way he set up the feathers, then ultimated, then flashed, and just drew them across the entire team. And I think you're right, Rogue maybe just overcommitted slightly there, maybe just expecting them to be stronger than they were. But actually SK, that is a small inkling into how they could potentially look to play team fights. But of course, that was a situation they were all boxed in. They had an easy path to engage onto the Baron. And they have to do that again in 50 seconds. Like, they have to find a similar setup. And Jenax gets caught out here by Trymbi. Wow. Odoamne picks up the kill. And now that's going to make it harder to control this red side jungle with that dragon spawning in 40 seconds.
Yeah, that's perfectly pointed out there, Excoundrel, because you can't really take the dragon with that kill, because dragon timer and death timer are like perfectly synced. But because it's 4v5, you cannot take control. If you're SK, excuse me, you can't sweep out vision here. Like, you have to just sit here and wait. So now the entirety of the dragon area is going dark here. And we've mentioned it a million times, but we'll bring it up again because it's very
Oh
relevant.
my God, look at how many wards. How many wards do you want, Rogue? There's like 5 in one brush. That's absolutely
That must
insane.
count as some kind of like super true vision. Like not only do you see invisible units, but you see things before they happen, right? That's what's got to happen when you put five wards in one bush. I don't know. Don't quote me on that one, but still. SK, they're going to face check and they're going to get punished.
Yeah, Treatz immediately caught out on the engage here. He will drop to Larssen once more, second time in a row. And now Trymbi drops to Jezu on the backline. TynX gets bopped. And here comes Jenax on the sideline looking for the flank with the ultimate, but he get immediately locked up on the backline. He's diving in though onto Hansama. Look at Jenax go. This is a good fight for SK and Blue. Now onto Odoamne. Jezu should be able to pick up the kill. And they stop Soul. SK again find the win they needed.
Perfect stuff right there from SK. This is what they want. If you're stalling this game out, you take this dragon away. No longer going to be the soul for Rogue. That adds another 5 minutes into your pocket. And SK, surprisingly, are winning back-to-back team fights in this game. They were really out of this one. Rogue are really happy with this map position as well, because look at this, right? Treatz is already on half health. It's blind, which is why SK walks in. But crucially, Treatz is able to do some stuff before he goes down. And Jezu was able to pick up all that gold in previous team fights. Still has a lot of damage, and Jenax is just living. He's just thriving right here. He's vibing hard in these team fights. Aatrox is so happy right here, like, because the thing is, right, when Trymbi dies this early, where's your peel? You know, where's your peel gone? How do you get Aatrox out of your face when Trymbi's done? Like, it's really quite hard. You know, it's really not that easy. And I think, you know, that just plays perfectly into Jenax's strength, and that's why they're able to pick up that team fight and get the dragon as well.
I'm pretty sure like TynX hit like a 4-man or a 3-man sleep as well before he died. So like he set up that flank as well, and as you said, Jenax came in like an absolute monster off the back of that team fight. And I think Jenax, he's been the guy for SK this game, right? He has kind of been the guy. I know that Jezu stepped up. His early game was a little scuffed because of how much gold got shoveled into Hansama, but it really has been about Jenax despite the scoreline. He's been the one that kind of has been the strong side for SK, and he has come up big in some of these team fights.
He really has, and I think, you know, SK played towards Jenax in the draft a little bit with that Aatrox pick, you know, getting that counter pick. And obviously it's his signature champion. But I do think as well, I'm impressed with the way that SK just as a whole, like they fell behind but still found a way to get back into the game. Like I do think, especially from Blue, who had an absolutely diabolical early game, mind you. 4 minutes into the game, he'd already died twice. Like, that's it doesn't get much worse than that, to be perfectly honest. But, you know, the fact they've been able to come back into it, they're still useful, they're still able to make these plays happen. You know, to me, I think that's honestly the caliber of, or it's a sign of a good team. You know, it's a sign, it's why SK are playoff contenders. Obviously, if they win this game, they will lock playoffs. And it's not always about how well you do when you're ahead, because it's easy to play League of Legends when you're ahead. What's hard and what really poses the challenges is what you do when you're behind. And I think SK, this game, have shown a pretty good recipe here for how you can do that and still succeed.
Yeah, and they're still 6k gold behind, mind you. It's not like they've closed the gold gap significantly off the back of these fights, but they have prevented these game-winning objectives from going the way of Rogue, and that is buying them time. And I want to kind of bring you back to what you said, Foxy, probably around like, must have been about 10 minutes ago now, because we're like on the borderline of 30 minutes in this game. Patience is the key for SK. Finding your moments to strike has been the key for them, and that has come true. Like, they have found the opportune moments, they've played the team fights relatively well, or even more than relatively well, because they've come out on top in them, but it has just been about patience and picking their moment.
Patience is definitely a virtue when you're behind in League. That's for sure. I do think, honestly, like, I don't know how SK keep getting away with it, honestly. Like, they just never have any control of the map, and yet they're still able to make the team fights happen. Because that's another thing that just really sucks about having zero vision. Like, you can't set up a good fight, because you never know the position of the enemy team. You don't know what you're getting yourself into. So it's like mega impossible to find a favorable fight in those situations. But SK find ways to kind of make it happen. As now Rogue start up the Baron again. It does die pretty fast right here. SK gonna have to face check as a squad, but it's in a choke point.
Oh, Treatz, that's a good flush out. Treatz taken low. That's the engage that Trymbi may be looking for. This might be a different fight for Rogue, and they are diving in. Odoamne is going to zone Blue out. They're going to double kill onto Hansama, and now Jenax can do nothing. That was the engage they wanted. Blue and Jenax, the only remaining members for SK, and now Rogue should be able to turn for the Baron.
That was more what I was expecting from Rogue when you've been able to keep the map this dark against SK. Like, you just can't get a favorable fight. And when we see this replay, by the way, you're going to have to keep your eyes on Larssen, because this man, honestly, there are no words for what you're going to see in this replay for what he does, okay? Watch what Larssen does here to deny Treatz' engage. This man has a sixth sense. Watch this. Look at that. What is that? That's pure madness. That's what that is. If he gets caught there, he insta-dies, by the way. Insta-dies. And this whole fight probably looks a little bit different. But my goodness. Like, you can't do that just purely out of reactions. Like, he saw that coming. He read that like a book, and my goodness, Larssen.
Foxy, I think you're right. I think you're right. They had 5 wards in the brush, and it gave him the foresight. It gave him the foresight. He knew what was happening before it even happened, and now the soul is spawning. I've got to give credit to Trymbi as well. That's the first fight that I've actually seen Trymbi get a good engage off, I think. I think Trymbi actually getting a big Magnet Storm there was a huge difference maker for Rogue as well. But man, Larssen, this guy is not, you know, that he hasn't built his name off nothing. And that damage onto Treatz, my God, man. Absolutely disgusting as Hans Sama just picks him off. That's a free soul, surely, to Rogue. Maybe we have to go for a crazy steal here, but Rogue, finally, they wrestled this game into control.
Yeah, here we go again for SK. The house is on fire and things are not okay. They really aren't okay. This is it. Fog of War, man. What are you face checking into? You're face checking into the OP engage from Trymbi. You're face checking the scatter the
TynX, mate. TynX.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, it's just, at this point, the game is unplayable for SK, honestly. I think it's been unplayable for them for quite a while, but they've made it happen, so kudos to them for that. But at this point, this is it, right? This is just where, I mean, what do you do? Honestly, I'm trying to break this all down for you, but really it just comes down to the fact, like, you can't get anywhere near Rogue right now if you're SK. Rogue know that, they use that to build up vision advantage, and it's just absolutely, oh man, it's tremors right here for SK.
I feel like SK have picked like Lee Sin in every role here because they've had absolutely no vision the entire game. It's been, honestly, it has been disgusting how much vision control the Rogue has had in both the blue and red side jungle. And their siege is now really strong too because they have that really tanky Sion who can just sit in the front. And obviously Larssen, if you step up close to him and he just hits you with one scatter the weak at this point, you're just done. Treatz finds the engage, Jenax pops the ultimate here. They are desperately searching for something. SK are absolutely like scavenging for a kill onto Rogue, but they cannot find it.
Yeah, they're scraping the bottom of the barrel with that one right there, definitely. They see that Inspired is pushing bot side. It's a 4v5 if you can get a solid engage, but Rogue also know that. You know, they know they're 4v5. They know that they have to be a bit chill there. There goes the sleep, but I don't think
Oh, they're going straight in for it, baby! Right into the back line! Jezu pops off right there. He gets the shutdown onto Hans Sama, and suddenly they may have bought themselves some more time in this game. Jenax desperately pushing forward, looking for some healing, looking for an engage. They're going to get the sleep onto Odoamne, who should be the next target. But my word, when SK's backs were against the wall, they absolutely found the play. And with 2 inhibitors down, SK are clinging on for dear life.
SK just will never quit. They won't stop. They're not out. They just refuse to be out. They refuse to die in this game. Rogue, despite having all the control, still, Jenax is going to go in here. Blue, he's following up. Ooh.
Inspired will have to pop the Zhonya's, will drop down, and somehow SK, they absolutely turn the tides at the very final wave and shore. I have no idea how they did this, Foxy. Let's take a look.
What is going on? So that you land, it's a 2-man sleep right here onto Larssen and onto Hans Sama. Right, so that's your 2 carries. Not only do they fall asleep, but they take a nap right next to each other, top and tail. The problem with that is you're standing next to each other. SK, don't say it. SK can just jump in and then bam, they're both dead. I feel that's a fairly accurate statement. Okay, so I don't know what you get.
Can I just say that I actually think top and tail is the superior sleep position. I'm just saying, like I'm.
Yeah. We've all been on those uni binges, mate. You're kind of struggling.
No,
struggling to find
I still sleep top and tail now. I'm not even joking. Every night.
Wow. Okay.
It's the superior sleep position. Anyway, you made me laugh, mate.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I don't. I'm trying to think of ways to kind of keep the conversation going in a way that's probably decent for Twitch.
No.
I don't think I can.
We're going to cut it right here. We are going to cut it right here.
I think the best thing to do is we'll move on and we'll talk about how Rogue, despite losing that team fight, still have every inhibitor down, every tower apart from the Nexus tower down. And SK, they've been putting miracles out of the hat for about 20 minutes into this game, but they're going to have to find a few more because this is looking very sorry for them.
They've definitely made Rogue work for this victory. Like, there's 3 inhibitors down. They've managed to find that, like, miracle team fight, as you said. Actually, Larssen gone for a teleport as Jenax maybe looks for the flank here. The engage comes on, but it's onto Odoamne. That guy is an absolute fortress on the front line for Rogue, and he will get the knockup back onto Treatz, who's already used that ultimate as well. And now Rogue, they are just looking for the re-engage with Trymbi. You can see that he's waiting for it. He's baiting them in, and that is a huge amount of damage now back onto Treatz, who's taken low. He will be forced to flash. Rogue are absolutely healthy as you like. An apple every day for these guys. They are in no way, shape, or form going down. SK will be forced to back into their base. Scatter Weak does not land. These super minions are pushing in. It is a matter of time, you feel, for Rogue in this situation. They're just looking for their moment to strike.
If Rogue been having an apple a day, I now know why Medic wasn't casting this one. But it looks like SK have run out of gas for their engage. As I say that, that's a flash pole onto Odoamne. Not sure that's the target you want, but they're going to go in.
Jenax wants it. They've already used the Featherstorm as well, but they're straight onto Jezu, and Jezu's dead. He was the engine behind SK's victories, and now Rogue are pouncing. Nidalee on the forefront, going for blue, but Jenax, but I don't think they're going to be able to defend. This is it. Rogue have locked themselves in to the top 2 of the LEC, and SK will have to wait for the guaranteed playoff spot.
SK did a pretty good job of holding on to this one. They weren't going to lose this one lying down. But at the end of the day, Rogue, off of the back of an exceptional early game, come out with a W.
It was a really, really good early game for Rogue, especially through that mid lane play that they made. Like, they just played through Larssen. But SK made this hard. Like, when you thought they were down and out, they got back off the ring. They basically were there. They were down for the count, and then they were back up. Like an absolute miracle return. Like 3 or 4 team fights in a row, SK made that happen. But Rogue just built themselves such an early game advantage. It was too difficult for SK to get back on.
Yeah, the early game was one of the more dominant ones that I've seen, and you know, credit to Rogue for being able to pull that off. I'm sure they're not going to be too happy with how the rest of the game went. They would have liked a cleaner execution to finish that one off, but hey, it's a W. As you say, they've now locked themselves into top 2 as well, and you know what, we've said it before, but what a growth for that organization. Was it like 2-16 or something when they first entered the league, and now they're second place? Like, that's madness.
Well, I'll tell you what, there is a couple of players of the game that we're going to want to have a look at here. Let's have a look at our key player of the game. You can go over to LEC and vote on Twitter if you like. We have Inspired, Larssen, and Trymbi. I think, honestly, any one of those could really be the player of the game for me. I think it's too difficult to call because everyone had their own individual impact. But Foxy, I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah, you're going to put me on the spot again.
Yeah.
Honestly, that flash from Larssen just like... I don't even know what to say. That's just inhuman. So, yeah, he gets my vote purely from that one play.
Just for the inhuman flash. All right, guys, after the break, we'll take a closer look at Rogue's win as Laure is joined by Inspired.
They are out there, waiting to be discovered. Some of them are big, and some of them are small. But that's the thing with ideas. They don't just come to you. To find them, you have to move. Kia, movement that inspires.
You don't have a chance against me. I can calculate 90 trillion moves in advance. Not fair. Not fair.
Red Bull gives you wings. Welcome back to the LEC Super Week as Rogue secured top 2 here in Game 1. And Inspired, thank you for joining me. I want to talk about the game and the draft first, especially the pick order, because not often we see teams last picking the jungles, but this is the choice you made here today. So can you explain the reasoning behind this?
So basically, we're planning to pick jungle on 4 because we just wanted to secure strong bot lane and mid. And then I said that if we will not pick Sion, then enemy will pick Sion. And I'm a type of jungler that loves to have tank on top lane. So I said that we just need to pick Sion away from them. So I will just last pick my jungler.
Nice, and that was a very smart choice from you. I mean, we saw how successful you were with Nidalee in the very early stages of the game. It got a bit weird, I want to say, during the mid-game. Some fights that SK have been able to pick up. Usually, I like to show fights that teams have been successful at doing, but here, I want to know what went wrong in mid lane, and I'm talking about the 26-minute fight. You were setting up for a flank here, but things didn't go as planned. So talk me through communications and what didn't go right in this fight.
Here already before the team fight, I landed 2 spears on Alistar, and I was saying that the enemy team will look to engage on us, and we just have to kill the Alistar when he's trying to engage and not fight with others members, like kite back and just kill the Alistar. But my team felt very confident, I think, especially Trymbi here, and he just flashed in, missed his W, so he basically traded his life with Alistar. So I think Trymbi just misplayed a bit this team fight, and when he was very deep, we tried to help him, then Lillia just found opportunity to flash in with Freeman sleep, and that's why we lost the team fight.
All right, well, mistakes were made, but it was not a crucial fight. I mean, you still got the win in the end. And during that game, the community chose you to be the player of the game. So you were telling me about having a weak side, playing Nidalee. What did you think about the performance you had today?
I think I played fine. The mid ganks were mostly called by Larssen, so I just had to come mid and throw the spear on the stun target. So it's not very skilled. So I did my job, but I got very good setup by Larssen.
It's a team effort. You all did an amazing job. And as I mentioned in the beginning of the interview, you secure top 2 here. And before your game, I had an interview with Freddy, your coach, talking about the success from Rogue, the evolution in a year. But I want to know about you. How do you feel? How much stronger do you feel compared to last year? And how much did Rogue help in that evolution?
I still think I was very good for a long time already. Even last year, I felt that I was playing very well, but I guess people just didn't really notice it. But I think the biggest difference is like from the first split I played in LEC. I think at the first split I was not able to play like I did in scrims, and then I just had to play some stage games to like get used to playing official games and just play like I do in scrims. And from that point, I think we just keep getting better synergy as a team. Right now we know how everyone wants to play and like how everyone likes to play. Like we like to play aggressive, and we know around which lanes we want to play. So I think we have just good synergy over the time that we played together.
All right, about the team, yeah, because we knew that you were a fantastic player, Inspired, and I mean, there's no need to prove on that. But to wrap up this interview, thank you so much for joining me today, and best of luck during the first 2 games that you have left.
Thank you.
You're welcome, and back to you, Sjokz, for post-game.
Thank you very much, Laure. A lot of good words there from Inspire talking about the development. And I mean, he doesn't have a lot to prove. He is playing phenomenally. Rogue, as said, starting the Super Week with a win, now locked in the top 2. SK, they can still lock playoffs today. That is, if Schalke or Misfits lose, they would still be in the playoffs. So the way I want to look at this segment is as 2 teams that we may see in playoffs. Rogue, for sure, of course. And Ender, let's start at the draft, since you said you want to see something distinctly different than what they did versus G2. Are you happy?
Yes, I'm so happy. We got it. This team has pretty much everything we could ask for, right? We've got some strong skirmishing, specifically around the mid lane, and we saw that with the Nidalee coming around to really bully paired next to that Syndra. The bot lane too, the Kai'Sa Rell. You have early all-in potential. You have post-level 6, just complete destruction with a bot lane duo like that. So I think overall, this is one of those other styles that Rogue has in their playbook that I want to see much, much more of, because I think they're really good at it.
Yeah, I like that a lot because with our opening, talking about their game versus G2, it felt like they came out of that one pissed and they're going to correct all the wrongs from that game, you know, from draft also into gameplay, you know, playing it aggressively, drafting these CC setups for both, you know, mid and bottom, and then just putting Odoamne on the punching bag top lane and be like, okay, you know, fend for yourself up there, just soak up some time. We'll take care of business down on the bottom half of the map.
That did work out, and as you say, Kobe, an aggressive draft, and we wanted to see that aggression in the game as well. And early game, it was all about the mid lane for Rogue.
Yeah, it certainly was. I mean, the first one is just a really good setup from Larssen. You see Blue walks right back towards the sphere. Larssen puts it down, gets the stun off before he gets slept. He knows that as long as he lands the stun, even if he takes the bubble to the face and gets slept, Nidalee can finish it. And then support gets in on it too. Hey, mid lane party. Trymbi goes up there, uses the Rell combo. This one though, I gotta flame Blue, okay? Like, I know you guys like banter up here. What was going on with that flash? He was pressing W or something on Zoe, thinking he had a Spell Thieves flash or something. He held onto it, flashed when the Ignite was already on him, and then died that way. So first 2 kills, he dies with flash, and then uses it in the second one, so he dies again. It was just like mid lane is a bottomless pit at that point for the early game, and it was really hard for SK to come back from that early game.
Yeah, and you know, we keep comparing it back to that game against G2, right? They sort of took some elements of G2's draft. They also just ripped off their game plan too with the plays around mid lane as well, right? Getting the support involved in everything. It was a game completely about setting up Larssen on this Syndra to take over, and if you look at it, he absolutely did that.
Yes, exactly, and that's also what we know to be a winning formula from the side of Rogue, and Larssen wanting to forget about that performance last week. But then, as we look at both teams in terms of the playoffs that are just around the corner, Kobe, I wanted to take a look at this Baron fight where Rogue almost gives away the game and SK managed to get a win in the team fight.
Oh, ho, ho. Keep your eyes on Larssen because that's one of the ways that SK opened this up for a possible comeback. They start out with a sleep on him. Immediately there you see Treatz looking for him as well. That actually draws out his knockback, and even though they suffer the first death for SK, because the cooldowns are used, you see Jenax coming in, he nails the chain onto Larssen, gets the pullback, gets the flash out as well, and so he doesn't get to add anything else to the team fight. And you know, there's a sacrifice initially there by Treatz, and then Jenax with the big Aatrox coming in to follow up on that opening and cut into the center of their team fight. All while also handling the Kai'Sa up on the top half of that team fight.
Yeah, and I'd say there were definitely errors that Rogue made in a couple of those fights after the 20-minute mark, but I was thoroughly impressed at how SK were able to execute within those fights at a tremendous disadvantage. I think every single fight started off pretty much the same way, where it was TynX landing multiple person sleeps on multiple carries on the other side, and then also Blue with the sleeps too. So it was just sort of chaining these down, setting up for that Zoe poke, and then Jezu with really excellent positioning on that Xayah as well. I think that SK, past 20 minutes, looked very, very good.
Yeah, and I want to say, sucks that you don't win in lock playoffs right then and there, but against the second place team, it's good to know that you've got fight in you, even if you do get knocked down early from the side of SK. But it was a win for Rogue, and our next game features Vitality, whose playoffs dreams are still alive. And after the break, they will look for their 3rd win in a row against last placed Astralis.